Local news on WIFO.
It's time now for a look at latest in local news. In the news, Wayne County High School has provided counselors and ministers at the school over the past few days as the high school mourns the loss of 14-year-old freshman Joshua Curran, who was a ninth grade student where he participated in the track and football programs. Funeral was set for this Saturday at Unity Church of God. The viewing will take place at 3 p.m. an hour before the service. Also tonight, there's a community prayer service at 6 p.m. at Bill Morris Park. They're asking that the community come out and pray for the community and show your support. Again, that's tonight at 6 p.m. at Bill Morris Park. Josh is son of LaShonda and Joshua Corn of Odom, Georgia. Again, he passed away this week, 14-year-old freshman at Wayne County High School. Superior Court Judge Stephen Kelly in time Thursday tells WIFO-FM that he's been appointed to the Earl Watson case and that he has scheduled a hearing on the case for April 18th and 19th. Watson has pled not guilty to the charges he's facing in the fatal shooting death of Gary Floyd, which occurred in Wayne County back on July 30th of last year on Little Creek Road in Jesup. He faces an 8-count indictment from a Wayne County grand jury, including felony and malice murder, voluntary manslaughter, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 3 counts of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Once again, the case appointed to Superior Court Judge Stephen Kelly. Kelly says the hearing on the case is set for April 18th and 19th at the Wayne County Courthouse. Again, we'll continue to follow the story as it develops. We'll be back with more news after this word from our sponsor, other commercial messages, so please stay tuned. In other news, a Republican legislator says he's going to introduce a resolution today calling for State House Speaker David Ralston to resign his position after an investigation by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and Channel 2 out of Atlanta found that he frequently delayed criminal court cases by claiming the dates interfered with his legislative duties. The announcement by State Representative David Clark of Beaufort came after more than a week of silence on the issue from most House lawmakers, Republicans and Democrats alike. Ralston, who has law practice in Blue Ridge, says in his first interview since the report was published that he isn't going anywhere and that he did nothing wrong, and he's confident in his position as leader of the House. Ralston says it's a free assembly. They can introduce whatever they want, but he says he's going to continue to represent the 7th District, and he's going to continue to be Speaker of the House. Clark, the chairman of the House Interstate Commerce Committee, says that after the news reports, he received numerous calls and texts and emails from constituents who want to know his stance on the issue. Then he met privately with Ralston, asking his fellow Republican questions about specific cases and found his answers to be vague. Clark says he feels betrayed, saying what's right is right, but he says Ralston can't continue if he's lying to the delegation in Atlanta. Clark, who served in the military in Afghanistan, says he knows he's taking a risk as Ralston has immense power in the legislature, deciding on chairmanships and committee assignments, and also what programs receive state financing. No bill or budget wins passage without his blessing. Clark says he doesn't look at the end game. He says it's simply what's right. Clark says he has nothing personal against Ralston, but he says he just can't go along to get along. Clark would not say how many other Republicans have supported his efforts, which will be a major test because if he attracts only a handful of names, it's not likely to gain any traction. AJC in Channel 2's report claims that Ralston's law practice asked judges to reschedule court proceedings 57 times over a 2-year period, using a law dating back to 1905 that requires the judiciary to defer to legislative duties. It has resulted in delays, sometimes for years, for clients charged with child molestation, assault, drunk drivers, and terroristic threats. One client facing up to 20 years in prison on domestic violence told the AJC that he paid Ralston $20,000 to specifically delay his case so that with the passage of time, the evidence against him would erode. Victims in Blue Ridge say that Ralston's tactics are so well known that it is crushing to learn that he's involved in their case. Over the past week, Ralston has gained the support of both Governor Nathan Deal and also former Governor Roy Barnes, a Democrat. Barnes says the law exists to help ensure that the makeup of the legislature is of citizen lawmakers and not full-time politician. Barnes says you have to make accommodations for people or you'll end up with a professional legislature. Clark says he was shaken by the AJC and Channel 2 news reports, which he says proves that Ralston used his office to thwart justice and to benefit his law practice. Clark says just because you can do something doesn't make it right. Clark says Ralston absolutely abused his power. Clark says he used his seat in Atlanta and he's hurting people. Again, Clark says he'll introduce the resolution today in the legislature. Governor Brian Kemp's taking a case for emergency Hurricane Michael relief money directly to the White House. Governor Kemp recently appealed to President Trump in a phone conversation to free up the promised funds for farmers and others devastated by the October storm. Governor also has reached out to Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue, both U.S. senators and state congressional delegation, to find a way to come up with some disaster money. Kemp says our farmers are hurting. He says our families are hurting. He says they're on the verge of economic disaster without some help. The message is being heard, and U.S. Senators Johnny Isakson and David Perdue upped their pressure to advance a measure financing emergency spending in the weeks ahead. Both each called Trump separately on Wednesday to push the state's case. The two senators recently announced plans to introduce an emergency relief bill days after Georgia lawmakers were blindsided by the disaster money omission from the latest border spending bill. The federal inaction earlier triggered a demand by Kemp and other state leaders for Congress to finance aid, and that was stalled for months amid the infighting over Trump's border wall. We'll come back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor, other commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes and news, couple of dates to put on your calendar. Annual Peaches to Beaches yard sale set for March 8th and 9th. It's known as the state's largest yard sale. It covers over 200 miles on Highway 341. Again, they're going to have 3 locations here in Wayne County: Coastal Pines Technical College, the Odom Rec Center, and the Golden Isles Market, each day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Again, they state vendor applications can be found at the website peachestothebeaches.com. So again, the date, March 8th and 9th. Also, the Dogwood Festival date has been set for March the 30th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's going to take place once again at the Jesup JC Fairgrounds. This year marked their 42nd annual event. Festival features arts and crafts, food, entertainment, and kids' activities. Vendor applications are now available at www.waynecountyartists.org. They state no animals will be allowed this year at the festival, and they state that it will be strictly enforced. Once again, the Dogwood Festival is set for Saturday, March 30th at the Jesup JC Fairgrounds. The time, once again, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. A big job fair taking place down in Brunswick Career Center on February 21st from 9 to 2. The Georgia Department of Labor partnering with People Ready for the upcoming job fair. People Ready hopes to hire skilled operators, checkers, drivers, general labor workers, and forklift operators. Job seekers interested in attending the event can visit employgeorgia.com to create an account so you can prepare and submit a resume. Having an Employee Georgia account expedites the interview process. Applicants are encouraged to bring their resumes, driver's licenses, and dress business casual to improve their chances to be hired. Once again, the date, February 21st from 9 until 2 p.m. at their Brunswick Career Center. And again, finally in the news, a reminder of the celebration of life to remember the life of Dr. Larry Bennett is scheduled for next Saturday, March 2nd at 11 a.m. at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Jesup. Reverend D. Schaefer, Reverend Steve Larson will be officiating. Dr. Bennett passed away on February 10th at the age of 91. Reception will follow immediately after the service in the parish hall. That's going to do it for latest in local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan saying have a great day.